Natsu was looking out for her. He wasn't a stalker or anything, just overprotective. He looked at her watching the sunset in her long coat and scarf. She was beautiful. The way the snow made her hair shimmer in the winter sun, the way she played with the snowflakes as they floated down to her. Her gorgeous face was lit red due to the harsh winter wind. Yeah, he had a crush on her, but he'd never admit it. Until today, that is. Natsu never got a chance to ask her out, mainly because Lucy wouldn't let her out of her sight. But today was different. This time, Natsu saw his chance and went for it. Hey! Natsu ran towards her, waving his arms in the air. She turned and held her hands with a smiling, yet startled face. Natsu crashed into her with full force. Ouch! Natsu picked himself up and came face to face with her. He blushed as she opened her eyes and smiled at him. Hey Natsu! She beamed happily. He got up and smiled. He held out her hand to her, which she gratefully accepted. Thanks. Anyway, what was all that shouting about? She giggled, looking up at him as she dusted the snow off her clothes. I wanted to talk to you. His blush grew more and more. About? She questioned. He hesitated before he spoke. I had, cake, he stuttered. What? She looked at him questioningly. He looked back at her, staring at the ground. Would you like to go out for cake? He said as his blush grew. Yeah, sure, Natsu, she said gratefully. Great, he smiled. She nodded, then shivered. Natsu looked at her with a concerned look. You okay? He said. She nodded. Yeah, just a little cold. She shivered again. Come here. He motioned to her to move closer to him. So she did. Natsu then pulled her into his arms. She snuggled into his chest and snaked his arms around his neck. He stiffened at your actions, but soon melted into it. Hey, he whispered softly, humming a response. I love you, he stuttered. She looked back up at him and smiled. He looked down and smiled before leaning in and placed a soft kiss on her lips. I love you too, Natsu, she said, looking back up and smiling again. I promise you, I'll always be there to keep you warm.